up, you guys? Welcome back to my Bookish world. I'm Alex, and today I'm going to be filming a mid-month wrap-up, even though technically it is the 20th of January, so it's not actually mid-month, but I'm counting it because, yeah, because things have been a little bit chaotic, and I didn't get to film, because, yeah, and that's why it's going up 2 days later than normal. I will say I am back on my school schedule because it's my last semester, just started on the 19th. So I mostly will be going back to one video a week unless I have time. Like, I think I have 2 videos that I'm going to put out next week. But other than that, I'm going to try to just stick to one video a week to, you know, lower the stress. And yeah, that's part of the reason that this is not technically a mid-month wrap-up. That, and I'm like breezing through my TBR like crazy, and I wanted to finish a certain 2 books before I decided to get into this. But anyway, let's just talk about it. So I'm going to talk about the first 7 books that I've read so far. I'm anticipating reading still at least, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 more books this month, which I actually don't know if that's going to happen, but fingers crossed. I'm in the middle of 2 right now, so we're fingers crossed. But yeah, let's just get into the books that I read, because like I said, I read 7 so far this month, and I'll give you the full amount of books that I read in my end of January wrap-up. So first off, I have Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I did start in... what day was that? I did start like right around Christmas Eve, but she's thick, and I knew for a fact I was not going to finish this in December. I don't know what crazy part of me thought that I would be able to finish this during the month. So this was the first book that I finished in 2021. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. If you don't know what the series is about, which I'll be surprised because it's been like sweeping booktube, this book follows a girl named Poppy who is a maiden, meaning that she was chosen by the gods in her kingdom, and she is never to be looked at, she is never to be spoken to, she is never allowed to feel pleasure, until one day her guard comes around. His name is Hawk. She gets assigned a new guard, and he's a hottie. And she starts wondering and doubting her position as the maiden, and she doesn't really want to be a maiden anymore. She doesn't feel like she's chosen by the gods, and yeah, it's just absolutely wonderful. And so I was really excited to read the second book, which came out in September. And the third book comes out, A Crown of Gilded Bones, towards the end of April. So I was just really excited to get to this. I absolutely adored it. Like I said, I gave 5 stars. I believe I finished this on January 4th. So yeah, right at the beginning of the new year. Again, absolutely loved it. And then after I finished Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, I decided to pick up a book that I had actually gotten for Christmas, which, by the way, 2 of these books in here I've already gotten for Christmas, and now my physical TBR is like down to 2 books. And I love that for me. It won't always be like that, trust me, but I love that for me. But anyway, so the next book that I have here is How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. So this is a bunch of different short stories about Prince Carden from the Cruel Prince series. They're like kind of not fairy tales. They're about him and before he became the person that he is in the Cruel Prince series. Also little stories throughout the different times and his point of view, or I guess, okay, not in his point of view, it's in third person, but following him, and we get to see what he's doing during the events of The Cruel Prince and the other 2 books. So I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's absolutely stunning, and the artwork is stunning. I read this during one of my work shifts because I'm an awful student. No, because it was really boring, nobody was there, and I had to spend like 5 hours at a desk, so, yeah, 5 hours at a desk, so I finished the book. And yeah, I'm really glad I did. So 4 stars. The next book I read was also one of my gifts for Christmas. Again, I'm killing it already this year with reading my own TBR. So then I read #MeToo essays about how and why this happened, what it means, and how to make sure it never happens again, edited by Lori Perkins. Also, if you hear a weird noise, that is my dog chewing on her bone, like right there. Oh, and now right in front of me. No. And now giving me the bone. So anyway, this is a book that came out, I believe, sometime in 2017. Yeah, so it came out in 2017 at the height of the Me Too movement. And I've just been wanting to read this for a while because I'm very interested in essays like this, personal essays specifically, that have to do with racism and sexism and feminism. And so obviously trigger warning for sexual assault because it's about the Me Too movement. But it was really amazing, and I loved how we really got different stories that really followed, how and why this happened, what it means, and, ways to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And I absolutely love this. I didn't give it a rating because I tend to not rate nonfiction, but yeah, I really recommend this. I believe this book is free as an ebook, just because they wanted this book to get out to as many people as possible. And so they didn't want to make it expensive. And in reality, this was only like $7. So it's very affordable. And I just really recommend this. Again, trigger warning for sexual assault, but yeah. The next one is not one that I have here because I read it as an ebook from my library. And that was the Bromance book club by Lyssa Kay Adams. Now, I'm an idiot. For whatever reason, I assumed this Bromance book club series was by an author of color. And honestly, I thought for whatever reason it was a Black author. That's me for not doing my research better. It just happened when I looked at the series that I realized that she is not Black. Now, she might still be an author of color. I don't actually know. I believe she is white, but she's not Black. Or at least I can't tell if she's Black. So really, I just don't know who Lyssa Kay Adams is, except for a really great romance author. I really enjoyed this book. So basically, it follows this man who is a baseball player in Nashville, and he's like really famous, but he's having marital issues with his wife. And that's really the focus of the story. He is having this marital issue, so his friends devise this plan to join this book club where they read romance novels to try to better understand their wives, and try to win back his wife. And it was just adorable. I was really worried when I went into this because I thought I wasn't a fan of second chance romance. Turns out I am. The book that I tried reading, Second Chance Romance, I wasn't even in the mood for it. But I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. And I'm really excited to read the next 3 books, although I believe the second book I've heard some bad things about. I don't think the 4th one is out yet, but I'm excited to read them anyway. And then the next book that I finished and read was Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. So this follows Maverick, who is the father of Star and The Hate You Give, by the same author, obviously. And it follows him when he is 17, and he's going through his life. It's really like an origin story of Maverick and his life, getting pregnant with Star and Seven and all that, and his life, and we kind of get more of just a backstory of what happened the years before sorry, I just got an email about a staff meeting. Anyway, so it's his backstory. I absolutely adored this. I gave it a 4.5 stars. Honestly, I think it would have been a 4 stars, but the last chapter, the epilogue, broke my heart into like a million pieces and put it back together and just made me absolutely love it even more. And honestly, I just think Angie Thomas can do no wrong at this point. I absolutely love her novels. I'll pick up anything that Angie Thomas writes. I went to the store, to the Barnes & Noble by my new house for the first time and picked this up before I went to work so I could start reading it at work, which I did, even though I had to finish Bromance book club while I was at work. Sorry, she's a mess. But anyway, I absolutely adored this. And then the next book that I finished, which has been a long time coming, and I feel so stupid that it took me this long to finish it, and that is The Lost Book of the White by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. So this is the second book in the Eldest Curses trilogy. I believe the third one comes out later this year, although I don't think there's a release date, but it's supposed to come out later this year. So I was really excited for this. I got the mini Hangover Fake Rate kit for this book, and I'm happy I did because I have some nice stuff that goes with the Shadowhunter series. But anyway, this is basically just following Magnus and Alec on different adventures that we don't really get to focus on too much in the Shadowhunter series, and it's really developing their love story, which I love because I love Magnus and Alec. They're probably one of my favorite relationships in the Mortal Instruments novels. They're in the Shadowhunter novels, but now to be fair, I started this book 2 days before Christmas, and I started reading a chapter, could not read it, so I started reading the ebook, which helps, because I tend to read ebooks faster, and then, what else did I do? Oh, and then I also put on hold the audiobook, just because I figured I was having a hard time focusing. Again, it was Christmas, and I needed something to, like, pull me in if I was gonna love it. But there was just so much going on that I had a hard time getting into it. And for whatever reason with audiobooks, I will listen to the audiobook like crazy at first, and then after a few days I forget about it. Luckily I was able to renew this. But yeah, I finished it Sunday, so the day before Martin Luther King Day. I read this for almost a month. So yeah, I gave this 2.5 stars, which is probably my lowest, I think is my lowest rated Cassandra Clare book. And it makes me really sad because I love Cassandra Clare, and obviously there's another author that writes this, and I think maybe that's part of it, although I have read other books by her and other authors. All of her short story collections feature stories from different authors, but yeah, this one just doesn't do it for me. I'm not sure what it is about this series. It doesn't feel needed, and I think that's part of it. Obviously, I'm still going to read the third book because I'm Cassandra Clare trash, but I definitely just don't think the series was needed, and I feel really bad for giving it 2.5 stars because I love Malik, but stuff happens, so yeah. And then the last book that I read is actually a poetry book, and I don't really have much to speak on it because it's a poetry book, but that's Homebody by Rupi Kaur. I still don't know how to say her name. I'm an idiot that I don't know how to say her name. But anyway, this is a poetry collection that I believe came out towards the end of 2020. And when I was looking at like authors on Goodreads that I love, that I've read before, and their releases, trying to plan out my TBR for the year, as well as my anticipated releases, I saw that she had come out with a new book, and I was like, might want to pick it up. So I did. I got it from the library. I need to take it back, which is why I'm filming this looking like this. But I gave it 3 stars. It's not bad by any means, but it's just not something that blows me away. For whatever reason, Rupi just doesn't have the type of writing style that really digs deep in my heart, like Amanda Lovelace or even Katie Wismer from Kate's Book Date. I've absolutely loved their modern poetry, but for some reason Rupi just does not have that for me. But definitely trigger warning, I believe, for sexual assault and abuse. I would look up the other triggers for this because I'm sure there are more, but that's what I can remember right now since I read it a few days ago. But yeah, that is the first 7 books that I have read and finished in the month of January. I'm hoping to have 6 more in my end of the month wrap up, where I'll just review the last books that I read after this. So yeah, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Follow my social media down below. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!